Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Cherie, Blair. This is such an honor and privilege to be sitting with you on this stage and discussing about women's economic empowerment in the age of AI.
I'm delighted to be here, and I have been lucky enough to visit Finland and Helsinki, so I'm delighted to be able to hear so much more about the great things that are going on in your country and what it offers to the world.
A lot of innovation and a lot of happy people, apparently. So, I'm an entrepreneur.
And a lot of impressive women.
That's a good one. Elina, thank you again, Elina Valtonen. Thank you so much for being with us here today. And this topic is very timely and obviously close to my heart. We're going to talk about women's economic empowerment in the age of AI. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I do believe that the biggest challenges of our lifetime can be the biggest opportunities as well. So I think this is a great opportunity when it comes to humanity and women's rights and economic empowerment. If we look at the future of work, the World Economic Forum just released their 2025 Future of Jobs report. 59% of the workforce will need to be upskilled by 2030. 39% of the skills that are needed for these future jobs will be changing. So I think that we're kind of like all on the same line here when it comes to future skills and future jobs. This is why we are well positioned at the moment. Also, what are the most sought after skills when it comes to these future jobs are leadership, resilience, empathy, and leadership. And I would argue we are quite natural as women to carry and have these skills. So this is why I'm so excited about these opportunities. I run a company called Mia AI. Our mission is to empower 1 million women with AI skills by 2030. And we have really witnessed the power of what learning AI leads to, leading to new jobs for our alumni, global collaboration, growth opportunities, and so much more. Also, it presents great opportunities for female entrepreneurs out there. So the time is now. Cherie, I would love to start with a few examples with the work of Cherie Blair Foundation. Could you share something like a ripple of effects of the impact that you have been able to create with your programs and your efforts so far? And we know when you educate a woman, you educate a mother, and you educate an entire community, right?
Absolutely. Let me say, first of all, that since we were set up in 2008, we have reached 300,000 women entrepreneurs in low and middle income countries across the world. And you mentioned some of those skills that women have: leadership, resilience, empathy. And it reminds me of just one woman that is a recent graduate of our Mentoring Women in Business program, which is a program which is very dear to my heart. It was started off in 2010, and it used then the internet in perhaps a more raw form than it is now, to match men and women mentors across the world with women entrepreneurs in countries that we've selected through our local partners who had a business, who could speak English, who had access to the internet, and who were empowering and growing businesses that were making a difference in their communities. So the woman I was going to tell you about is called Ella Omezi, and she comes from Nigeria. And she runs an agribusiness in Nigeria. She took part in our Mentoring Women in Business program, and she was paired with one of our PayPal mentors, Gwyneth from America. Now, Ella set up her business particularly trying to help impoverished women in northern Nigeria, which, as many of you may know, is one of the more dangerous and also more impoverished parts of Nigeria. And so her aim was to help women farmers with training and resources, and then processing and selling their products around the world. She had a plan for expanding her business, and Gwyneth helped her for 12 months, meeting approximately twice a month for those 12 months. And in that time, she managed to penetrate a number of new international markets and increased her profits by more than 50%. So that was a success. But she's now supporting 1,500 women to lift themselves out of poverty in northern Nigeria. But what I like is what she told us when we spoke to her. She said, there are so many people who are happy today, who have food on their table, who are able to send their children to school, all because of this program. And it's actually what you were saying about when you educate, when you help a woman better herself, you don't just help one person. You help a family, you help a community, and you help economic development. And that is a huge testament, not only to the power of mentoring, but also to technology and connectivity, because it enables a woman in America with skills, she wants to offer her skills, to walk beside, to counsel, to assist a woman in Nigeria to achieve results which transform 1,500 people's lives and more, because for sure, Ella will continue.
Wow, thank you for doing what you do. That is a very powerful example, and also a powerful example of how we can scale the impact with technology. So that is just incredible. Also, women entrepreneurs, especially in underserved regions, often face significant barriers of scaling their businesses. However, now we have AI, which is helping us tremendously. We are seeing small companies, we're seeing unicorns being built by small teams at the moment with the power of AI. And I do believe that the winning combination of the future is human plus AI, and the best opportunities will be for those who can harness AI's potential, not leaving those human aspects. But how do you think AI technologies and education will level the playing field and enable more sustainable and scalable growth for women entrepreneurs?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that women entrepreneurs in low middle-income countries are using AI. Nearly half of, we've just done a big survey, 3,000 women with the World Bank and Intuit, which will be launching fully in March, but just a few highlights that we're talking about here. And almost half of the women we surveyed were actually already aware of AI and what it can mean for their business. Though I would say 20% of the women had not heard of the possibilities of using AI. So when we asked them what were they using AI for, a lot of them spoke about using it to improve, for example, their marketing. You imagine lots of these women were doing digital marketing online, and sometimes they would run their product descriptions through AI. I won't mention which one, but an AI engine to improve the English, to improve the sense. Simple things which just enables them to sell better. Optimizing their online marketing campaigns. They could also use AI to target the right customers that they're looking for, and of course to probe insights into market trends. And that, as you say, means that small businesses in remoter places can take advantage of services which in the past have been available only to bigger businesses in essentially the more fortunate parts of the world, which was the original impetus for me setting up. Obviously in 2008, AI was not on my horizon, but I knew even then that using digital tools helped me as a small business person, as a lawyer with my own practice, to continue to work whilst my husband was Prime Minister. And I thought, if a fortunate woman can get those benefits, what could we do if we put those tools in the hands of women who have the capacity, the foresight, the urge and the resilience to use them to expand and grow, not as handouts, but actually as drivers of developments. Obviously, another way that we see AI really helping is on these micro-lending platforms, where AI is able to assess a woman's creditworthiness in a way that hasn't been the case before, and allows women without formal credit histories to be able to start that first vital little bit of capital to help them. This is a huge step forward. There's also things like actually how you run the sort of back room of your office. I mentioned Intuit. They help fund this research, and they have a QuickBooks. You must have heard of QuickBooks, and they use AI for automated bookkeeping, expense tracking. Again, this is something that can be an affordable way of providing these kind of financial services to women who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford such things. So there's a market, but it's more than that. Women entrepreneurs want to use technology. We estimate there's a $30 billion opportunity here. And furthermore, if women in general had access to the opportunities for work, for paid employment that men have, there would be a huge increase in global GDP. So, if we're talking about reaching the sustainable goals, if we're talking about increasing global wealth, particularly post the last few turbulent years, ignoring the talents and expertise and creativity of half the population is just a stupid thing to do.
Exactly, and we need to be continuously learning and evolving with these technologies because obviously it is fast. So resilience is everything. Let's talk about confidence and leadership. That is obviously, we as women, we face a lot of imposter syndrome and all of these things. And confidence and leadership are essential for breaking barriers. Before sitting down with you, I must say I was nervous and I was like, who am I to sit down with Cherie, Blair? But here I am just doing it. So can you share some examples how you are empowering women with more confidence to lead in the AI-driven era?
Confidence has always been very much part of our programs because the reality is gender stereotypes across the world often tell women they're not worthy, they can't do it, they just don't have the skills or the abilities of men. Why aren't you just doing what you're born to do, which is to bear children and take care of the home, which, by the way, obviously are very noble and important tasks. But funnily enough, men, you have a role in bearing children and taking care of the home too. So we like to tell women that they can do it. One of the things in the mentoring platform, for example, is this building of confidence. We also do some face-to-face training combined with digital learning. And we started off with a program called Road to Growth. And then we realized we then Road to Finance. But our next program that we did is called Road to Leadership. And it's precisely because as we work with women, we understood that actually having the confidence to be able to present yourself, to be able to present your business, to be able to believe that people are going to want to do business with you is a very important part of that. And then generally, as we have we have this app called the Her Venture app, which it's a micro-learning app. We kind of think like Duolingo for business skills. And we do that in a number of countries. We're in English, it's in Nigeria, it's in South Africa, it's in Kenya that we've just received. We're part of a program that will translate that in Kenya into Kiswahili and go up into the northern parts of Kenya, where again there's a great deal of poverty, a great deal of violence, and enabling women to grow their businesses there. We're in Guyana. In Guyana, 1 in 15 women, I think it is now, in Guyana use our app in order to improve their business skills. And we've reached 100,000 women over the last couple of years with that app. And we have huge ambitions to take it further. It's in Indonesia, it's in Vietnamese in Vietnam. We'd love to try, I've just been talking to some people here from the Congo. We'd love to translate it, the DRC, because there's various Congos, as you know, to translate it into French and take it around into Francophone Africa. So we've got a lot of ambitions for that program. It builds in gamification, it's on bite-sized pieces, and it enables women to do, there are different tracks. So there's a track for starting your business. There's a track about mobile money. There's a track about accessing finance. There's a track about resilience. There's another track about e-commerce, which we added actually during COVID, as really is so many women who are doing face-to-face businesses suddenly weren't seeing anybody, so how do they continue to survive during that time? So her venture is another way in which you can use technology to bring information, to bring learning, to bring skills to a huge group of women. 100,000 is quite a big group, and enable them to work out for themselves what's best for their businesses. Because we're not telling them how to do their businesses, but we are giving them the tools. You know, you can be very good at coding, or you can be very good at sewing, or you can be very good at law. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you can convert those skills into running a business, because actually the challenges of running a business are not the same as the skills that you need to do these things, but they are important skills and they can be learned. And so the more we put knowledge into the hands of people, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly, and the mindset is super important. AI is not only a skill set, it's more of a mindset. I believe that the future of AI is so much more than the technology, it's all about the people behind it. What's the one thing, one call to action that you want to leave the audience with today of how we can support more women founders out there?
Well, I definitely think that technology is the key. I've always thought that. It was one of the key reasons I set up the foundation in the first part. But I should raise some issues about why technology can bring great things to women, but there are also dangers. There are different levels of dangers. One is, of course, it can be expensive. One of the things we found through our research is that in places like Africa, if the women can only access technology by paying in dollars, well, you're already starting off at a big disadvantage because of the FX implications for that. So if you have a digital business and want to take it to Africa, think about how you can price it in the local currency, because you'll reach far more people. Then, of course, there's the inevitable connectivity problems. We'd be naive to imagine that across Africa that there is, well, actually, I was going to say as good a connectivity as there are in London, but sometimes the connectivity is not that great in London either. But you know what I mean. But most of all, women need to feel safe online. And what we found when we did our research is that if it comes from being safe and improving your business by going online, women will inevitably choose being safe. And women are not safe online. So many of them, 2/3 of them told us that they had experienced gender-based discrimination and harassment. 25% of them told us that they had received, sexist messages, threats, sometimes those threats spilling over into the actual world as well, whilst doing their business. And 20% told us that they had received inappropriate, essentially indecent photographs and videos online. Now, I'm not talking, by the way, of women who are on a dating app, which, by the way, I don't think is acceptable there either, but that's another question, or women who actually are on a pornography site. I'm talking about women who are on a site because they're providing financial services, or they're providing manufacturing services, or they're providing retail services, and yet it appears that there are people online, and I'm sorry, but when I say people, I actually mean men online, who think this is a marvelous opportunity not to buy their services, but to use it to sexually harass and intimidate them. Now, I know that the men in this audience who are interested in our conversation are not among them, but, we need to do more, and we need to stand up to protect women and actually everyone who's vulnerable online, which is why it's particularly important, I think, what's happened recently with Meta, because the other thing we found is when we asked women what tools they use most of all, guess what they were? WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram. Now, if 20% of those women are receiving these inappropriate photographs, there's a slang term for them, but I won't use it in this polite company, or 25% of them are being harassed when there were already mechanisms apparently in place to stop that, what's going to happen when those mechanisms go off? Are we to expect that it's going to go down? I don't think so. And as a result, a business opportunity for the companies themselves to encourage women to use their technology, an opportunity for the world to encourage development and encourage growth is going to be harmed when actually what we need to do is to make the internet a safe place for everyone, and that is a campaign that we will be continuing to do. I think the interesting thing is that possibly, I'm sure it's not the intention, by the way, of Meta to make things more dangerous for women. And I think in some ways it's quite a shame that an organization like ours and Intuit and the World Bank with 3,000 women, which is a good sample, by the way, but that we're the only people who are doing any evidence base about this. And I would love to, in fact, I've said around here, I'd love to invite Meta to join with us. And let's actually see what is happening. Let's actually get some statistics and facts. And on the basis of that, work out how we can make the internet safe and still allow it to be accessible and creative for women.
Exactly. We need to ensure that internet and AI is safe for women to use. And then second of all, we need to make sure that women are starting to use AI and these technologies at the moment. Because as a technology, AI is so young. It could be, imagine, like a 3-year-old toddler learning from its users, from those ones who are putting the data into it.
And at the moment, if it's learning to be sexist, then that's not a good thing, is it?
Now it needs a little bit of mothers and sisters as well to use it, because that will be the reflection of our humanity. And second of all, there are great opportunities for women out there if we just harness AI skills. Thank you so much for this conversation, Cherie. I am honored to share this stage with you.
It's my pleasure.